Hello, Morrissey, welcome to my home, thank you.
Yes?
Thank you for permitting me to do you yet another favour.
Yes.
This is very kind of you.
I know.
But you don't answer questions very directly, darling.
So?
Well, it makes, you know, it can be very challenging in an interview situation. I recall once you refused to answer a question about your cat, a question posed by my mother. Not by Melvin Bragg or a coruscating interviewer.
It's hardly gone down in history as one of the great political stumpers of all time, has it? Really. I mean, but often, Russell, if you answer a question indirectly, it can be more interesting than if you answer a question directly. And all I look for in, shall we say, other musicians' sings, is that they say or do something different. Just say something different. Give a different response. Sing something different. Use different words. I don't want to always hear the same replies, even if it's, we made the album in Switzerland and it was hot.
Right.
I don't want to hear that.
You don't want to hear...
I don't want to hear somebody
banal.
say that kind of thing. I find it very, very tedious. Also, I think that when you make a record, an album, it has to be a discovery for the person listening to it. So you don't want to pat everything out and say, this was that, this is definite, that's how it happened, and that's what you should feel, and that's what you should like or dislike. It's personal discovery.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a quite deliberate, so you're deliberately opaque as not to prejudice people's enjoyment of your work?
No, I wouldn't say opaque, no, but I don't want to be pat. And I don't want to be formatted. Every reply is formatted. Even though obviously I know the answer. Yeah. I don't want to be formatted.
Although being obtuse does become a format of its own, eventually.
Yes, but it's a wonky format.
It is a wonky
You can't
format.
chase it.
No,
and you can't trace it.
That's quite true. When you listen to your earlier work, what kind of relationship do you have with it?
The earlier stuff is a bit frightening. A bit frightening, because it was all born out of desperation. Nothing else.
To be successful?
To be something, yes. And so I can hear all the despair and the struggle and the rustle.
Well, did you have a sense of entitlement?
R-U-S-T-L-E. You see, you can't even say the word rustle without him dragging it back to himself.
There's all manner of bits of language that I've claimed for my own. Hey.
Yes, but back to me.
Prior to becoming notorious, did you have a sense of entitlement? Did you feel that somehow there had been a mistake at the factory?
Well, there was definitely a mistake at the factory, but I didn't feel, I didn't have the modern notion of I must have fame and I must lead a very special life. But I felt that there was a lot to flee from.
Yeah, what was that?
Well, the reality of life, the life I had in Manchester.
Manchester?
Manchester.
When you were growing up, it was bleak for you?
It was very bleak for everybody, I think, yes.
Yeah.
There were very different times. Very different times.
Yeah.
You see, Stumped, very different times to such a degree that you didn't really ever hear music anywhere. It was very hard to hear music. People didn't play music in their cars. There wasn't music in films and on television programs. So music was a very peculiar thing, and if you were interested in music, you were quite peculiar.
Really?
Not like now, when everybody makes music and everybody makes their own CDs at home, and everybody listens to music everywhere all the time. But back then, in the 70s, it was very hard to hear music, and it was impossible to hear good music.
I see, so
No, it was.
It had to be deliberately sought out.
It was a peculiar thing, and it was a very peculiar desire to make music.
So is it then that you kind of sought escape through music?
Yes. That was the only way, there was nothing else. Yes, I watched television and I liked films and so forth, but it was very distant, whereas music was within me.
Right, sort of visceral.
Well, if you like.
Did you? I do. Oh, I like visceral. We are here, of course, to promote your the forthcoming release of your new album, Years of Refusal.
Yes.
Why is it called that? Oh, don't complain about every question. I know it's a...
But you interview lots of people, don't you?
Yes, I do a lot of interviews.
And they're pleased and they say you're good at it. And
I'm brilliant.
You go home and you feel very fulfilled.
Very fulfilled.
Yes.
Blasé almost. So I'm good at interviews. This is just getting into it, softening you up.
Softening.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing. So you've got this thing, years of refusal. Are you happy about it? Come on.
I'm very,
You must
very
participate.
I'm very, very happy, yes. I think it's a fantastic recording. I think it's great.
I've heard it. It is really good. I enjoyed it. Spectacular, lovely atmosphere you've created. Very grand.
What was the atmosphere?
It was like this. Woo! Eerie.
Do you have any canned laughter?
You're not going to need that. This place will be alive with ripples of laughter before you know it. This desert will sing out with peals of joy.
Where are the pugs?
They'll be along. As a young man, what on earth was happening? You had some unusual haircuts before you, this quiff that you've worn so well for many a decade.
Such as?
I've seen a photograph of you with something not dissimilar to the adornment that I currently wear.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was very dissimilar.
It looked to me like you were expressing your affection for the New York Dolls out the top of your head.
No, not at all. It was a bit shaggy, certainly. But it wasn't like yours.
Well, no.
Who cuts your hair?
Occasionally, just drifters, hobos, chancers, errant children, wanderers, folks with stars in their eyes, empty bellies but dreams. No, this lady called Nicola, she's from
I guessed that.
She's from Raynham. A girl from Raynham hovers above my head, snacking away with scissors, busy scissors, etc.
I didn't expect the answer to be that interesting. I thought you were just going to say, Samantha's in Romford.
No. I'll come up with something. If you ask me a question, I feel obliged to provide a way out.
But you're happy with your career and your life now. You're very, very, very happy. I mean, you used to be quite unhappy.
Yes.
And you used to be searching and quite rampant and on the edge.
Yeah.
And now...
My personal antagonism was related to a sense of entitlement. I thought that there'd been some terrible mix-up, and I actually don't believe you when you say that you don't think of that with your own life. Because I sort of felt like for ages, I thought, hold on a minute, I'm sure I'm brilliant. Where on earth's my money? And so it really wound me up. Yes. And I can't imagine. Like, I got interviewed by someone the other day, and they said that
But you then thought you were brilliant, and where's my money? Because you could do what?
Well, actually, just that I formulated that sentence. Stand-up comedy, Morrissey.
Smugness enters the conversation.
Smugness arrived before we did. Smugness has been perched here under this temporary chaise lounge that was hastily whipped in to replace a chair because his principles meant his bum couldn't be on leather, for heaven's sake. There's some leather chairs over there. Lovely they are, with broken hearts, crying their eyes out because of him. Well, what I wanted to say is, how did that happen, this self-realisation? What are the component parts of it? How did this beautification of the self, how did it occur?
Well, it occurred because even though I didn't have any ingredients for pop, rock stardom, however you wish to term it, I took all the ingredients that didn't work and I pulled them together, and suddenly this thing emerged. And nothing was cliched. And at the time, everybody who made it in music was very cliched. It's still the case, really.
Yeah.
But occasionally you see subversive things slipping through now. But in those days, it was very, very rare.
It seems that you feel a sense of personal obligation towards animals and animal rights.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I certainly do. And why do I?
Yeah.
Because they need help.
Do they?
Yes, they look to us for protection, and they look to us for love and understanding, and what do people do? Lead them into the abattoir and chop their heads off, and which I think is dreadful.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very cruel. And I'm always on the side of the animal. The animals. No matter what the debate is, animals come first. And if you go into an abattoir, which I know you do...
Most evenings.
Daily.
I take a daily trip to an abattoir just to unwind.
Looking for friends.
Keep my mind off things.
It's unpleasant, and it's no different from the Holocaust.
Oh, Morrissey, don't say things like that.
But it's true. It's exactly the same thing. It really is.
It isn't. I don't think. I'm a vegetarian, as you know, and in no small part due to awareness raised by you and your music and the stand you have taken.
Well, then that's enough. Let's talk about something else.
All right, then.
Why be obstreperous about it?
What's the point of being obstreperous?
Especially if it means that much to you in the first place. I mean, why fight with yourself?
What's the point?
When I'm here.
Yeah, I've got you to quarrel with.
Well,
Okay.
protection of animals is just common sense. I mean, it's not an intellectual debate. It's so base, don't you think?
Yes, I completely agree with you. I think how we treat the vulnerable is how we define ourselves as a species.
But now you'd
and
like
as
to
a
talk
people.
about something completely different.
I'd like to talk a little bit about. I think that's important what you were saying earlier about the realisation of yourself and how that occurred. Because I think that's one of the most important things about you is the fact that things that are not typically heroic, it became in your hands and through your music heroic. Now, how can I turn that into a question?
You never could.
No.
I don't think anybody could.
It's kind of just a statement. But
Well, some people are art, you know. Some people are art, just naturally. And they could be total failures, but they are art. And some people can never be art. And also some people can come to represent something, some strata of art, even though they have none of the ingredients that one associates with that thing.
well, can you give me examples of?
Why should I?
Do you encounter people? Who have you encountered where you think that they are?
Well, there's lots of
those
people in
principles?
film, for example, who are not attractive, but they convince you that they are because they are so talented.
Because of their way. Whom?
Oh, well, certain people.
Go on.
I don't want to
Oh,
name
do
any
one.
names. No. I mean, there are certain people who are not attractive, but you are drawn to them. And they may be even doing something that's quite nasty or naughty, but they have a certain aura about them and you're attracted to them.
Quentin Crisp said charisma is the ability to influence without logic. It's good, isn't it?
Yes,
So like,
that's
just,
quite good.
yeah, it is good. You're a charismatic man, of course. That's why on that occasion at the Roundhouse I was so willing to go strutting up on the stage.
Well, you saw a stage and you were just begging for me to get off it. And as soon as I did,
Off we went. Morrissey sort of got a bad throat one day performing at the Roundhouse. I, naively in retrospect, went up to go, oh, Morrissey won't be coming back on stage. He's got a sore throat. Only to be greeted with missiles from the crowd. This was just a harsh lesson for me.
listen, the lesson being that not every audience is the same. And just because you can be a wow and a whiz on one stage, it doesn't mean you can trot over to another stage and be a wow and a whiz.
No, you can't. You might be hated on that stage. You might be struck by missiles. David Walliams was hit by a bottle top. He's never been the same since. But then he wasn't the same before. Nothing is the same. I've got a good feeling that.
It was quite good. I bet that's the 8th time you've said it.
It's not actually, it's the first time. That's one of the things about me. I'm always coming up with new and brilliant and original things. That's part of my nature. Right, now let's drift back into you. Can I ask you some questions that people might want to hear the answer to?
I wouldn't like those questions. Why should people know everything anyway?
You don't have to answer them, do
I
you?
mean, what's the mystery to you? There must be something.
In you?
No, to you.
Oh, to me?
Yes.
A mystery to me?
I mean,
Well,
do people know everything about you?
I don't know anything, I don't think, actually, because the things that are revealed are artful. See, like, because I deal in transparency and being confessional, but the exposure that I yield is actually, it's in itself further duplicity. I don't reveal anything of any actual significance. These things are just, like, these are outsourced anecdotes now. All these things that seem actually quite intimate, they seem miles away from me.
I can't remember the question now anyway.
Nor can I. I don't know what the answer So, like, this is one of the things that is endlessly fascinating as well about your lyrics. I think, how come that, like, sort of, it's good how you can make prosaic and mundane things sound all poetic. What's the art to that? How can you make?
It's an art.
Yeah.
Lots of people try it and they fail.
They don't.
abysmally. I mean, they try to sing about the everyday and lack of choice and the traps, and it just sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's the sound of the voice.
Do you think
I
so?
believe it's the sound of the voice. Yeah.
What? So you think even people? If you got any? Are there any covers of your work that you approve of?
Well, that's a completely different question, but I think the singing voice, if I can ignore your question,
Please do. You've been doing it since I met you.
it can be a caress, regardless of what the person's singing about. It can be a caress, and suddenly you're being, you're being slightly hypnotised by it.
Well, I do agree with the magical abilities of the chanteuse. This isn't something I would quarrel with.
Especially when you consider that many songs are absolute rubbish, but many people are popular.
Yeah, but I think that the literary content of your work is significant. I don't think that you could, like, it does sound like a disorienting array of sound. Like, literally, there's a lot of the stuff that because I think what spoke to me personally as a fan of your work is the stuff that you were saying, like stealing jeans off of washing lines and buses, and that sort of that's the kind of stuff that sort of spoke to me and rescued me in some way. And I think that's why there's that there is an affinity between people that admire your music. And I think that what you did is you directly communicated what you were, that the thing that you speak about, what it was to be in Manchester, to be you, that it does live in your art. And that's why I think that you're afforded, not least by me, such incredible grace by people.
So why did you laugh when you said the word grace?
Because it's a very powerful thing to say to someone. I felt slightly embarrassed by saying that.
Well, it's the soup of language, isn't it?
The soup of language.
The soup of language, and just changing it around slightly and slipping different words in that aren't commonplace.
Do you think?
And that was the aim. Always the aim.
Do you ever feel exposed by what you convey musically?
I feel very exposed. Yeah, I do, because it's been very personal. So I feel very exposed, and that's good, and occasionally it's bad.
What's good about it?
Well, it's good because it means that the people who support you absolutely support you, and they will do probably forever. But the people who despise you with a strength that's almost equal to the people who like you. So that's the problem with being a forceful person. You inspire it. You inspire a strong response one way or the other.
Yes.
And the people who don't like you just never let go. They're going to be here for 100 years as well, waiting for the next thing that you do so that they can say it's a pile of crap.
Yeah. And given the nature of your work, perhaps you arm your enemies.
Well, I can't help that, but it's difficult to take criticism seriously when you consider it's being said by somebody who hasn't mastered what you do anyway. Yes. So how can you take it seriously?
How can you? But as you were saying earlier, the collective image of you is so cherished by some that there would almost necessarily be an equal disdain in the hearts of others.
Yes.
And I suppose it's a price worth paying.
Well, the price is extreme jealousy, though. It really is.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite difficult, really, especially if you don't actually wish anybody any harm.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult.
It is actually, because I've thought, I'm a nice man. What's on earth's going on?
Yes. Yes, I thought that too.
What is all this rhubarb? I would occasionally think to myself.
I think there's also a point when you become slightly larger than life, and you become too hot to handle, too hot for people to handle, and they have to drag you back somehow and remind you that you're not as free as a bird, that we do control how far you can go and what you can say and what you can do. And I think there's, once people become larger than life, they have to be taught a lesson, and they have to be hit on the back of the wrists.
When you were younger, when you were first performing, did you have any sense of objectives beyond music?
No.
Never? It was always about that?
So how famous do you want to be in America?
Well, I just thought I'll just carry on until everybody knows who I am.
Yeah.
Not in America, of course, but the entire planet. What about you?
What about me? I don't have that savage search and that savage constant.
I reckon you did, though.
No.
How different are you from when you originally became notorious? How have you changed?
Controversial. I think I'm the same.
You think you're the same?
I don't think anything's changed, yeah. I don't think anything's changed. The aura remains the same,
Yeah.
strange thing. Yes.
What do you reckon's the best thing you've ever written?
I haven't a clue.
Never answer a serious question. Try and turn it into a normal interview, he will resist it.
Well, that was
like kicking a nappy off.
That was a very interesting answer. I haven't a clue.
Well, it might be, but people, like, imagine proper square boffins, fans who bought this album, this is a DVD extra, they're already tolerating a man who they bottled off a stage when I dared to show up. Now, they're trying to get a straight answer out of you, right? Me, trying my hardest to be your representative. Hello, fans of Morrissey, I'm Russell Brand, your representative. I'm a legit Morrissey And there's the portrait above my fire, right? I ain't had a bit of spitter meat since I was a kid on accounts of him braying on. And now, try and get a straight answer out of him, it's like pulling teeth.
When did you last pull teeth? I mean, how do you know what it's like to pull teeth, really?
Yeah, how does any of us know what it's like to pull teeth unless you're sort of a dentist or a colossal oral pervert?
So, as this interview comes to an end, how...
I think you are perhaps one of the most significant musicians ever to
Oh,
have sat
see.
on that chair. Now, I pulled it back because he was being smug.
He thinks I am one of the most significant.
Well, the most,
I mean,
you know,
there
you
could
can't
be
say that.
millions of significant musicians, and I'm just one
There
of
could be
these
millions.
millions and millions.
You can't categorise it.
So that's the kind of statement that doesn't mean anything.
All
also.
right, you're the best musician there's ever been. You're the greatest singer-songwriter of all time. There's only you and Bob Dylan. What do you want from me?
Well,
Jam on it?
Bit of feeling and down on one knee.
I loves you. I loves you. I'm forever on one knee in your company.
I think we're gonna sing.
Oh, no, we ain't doing
I
that.
think we're
Never.
gonna
You're never
sing.
making me sing again.
Yes.
No way.
Blowing bubbles. 1 and the 2 and the 1
Stop it.
and the 2.
No!
Yes.
I won't
yes,
sing.
Yes.
You do a
yes.
sketch.
No. I'm a guest. You don't invite people to your house and ask them
You
to sing.
turned up here in our house. Diana Ross used to get here by Barry Gordy, and you have ruined the sanctity of that consensual rape with your presence. Bet Davis died up there for you so that you might live.
And I am.
You are living.
But the thing is with Hollywood, Russell, when you invite people to your house,
Oh, yes.
the evening ends where the host gives a song to everybody.
No, it doesn't. That's not a protocol here in Hollywood.
That's
Surely
exactly how
not.
every evening ends, especially when they have cardigans as fetching as that.
Isn't it a fetching
Yes.
cardigan?
It bursts for song.
What?
Begs for song.
This is a DVD extra for his bloody album. Me, a comic. Why am I under pressure to sing?
These are dancers' legs.
They're like, I'm like a young Nijinsky. Check me out. Look at that. Baryshnikov couldn't have managed that. I've got it all, baby. That ain't even my main source of income.
So how about a gentle song, just to wish everybody goodbye and thank you for this thing?
I'm for blowing bubbles, pretty bubbles in the air. They fly so high.